Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience this evening. Welcome to our meetings this evening. This evening we will start, as it is the last Monday of the month, according to the Municipal Government Act, we will be holding our organizational meeting. So we will start with the agenda for the organizational meeting. I will call the meeting to order at this time. And I would ask council for a motion, please, to adopt the agenda with one amendment with regards to the detail for AUMA. It should read Calgary, not Edmonton. Motion, please. Councillor Duryea.
Thank you, Worship. I would move that we accept the meeting agenda for the organizational meeting for October 24th, 2016 as amended.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? All right, all those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Starting with page 3 of your agenda, please. This will establish the date, time, and location of the regular meetings for the November 2016 to October 2017 period. Councillor Bennett, would you like to?
Thank you, Worship. I move that the regular council meeting dates for the period November 2016 to October 2017 be held in the council chambers, town office at 4512 46th Street, Olds, Alberta, at the following times.
Yes. For the record, I do believe that our recording clerk already has those times. Or do you have any questions with regards to the dates or times? Seeing none then, thank you, Councillor Bennett. I will call for the vote. Those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Page 5, please, now of your agenda. And this is item 4A. Excuse me. This is to establish the date, time, and location of the Policies and Priorities Committee meetings that are held at 3 p.m. for the period of November 2016 to 17. Councillor Baruchel?
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that the Committee of Council Policies and Priorities meetings for the period November 2016 to October 2017 be held on the following dates at 3 p.m. in the Council Chambers, Town Office, 4512 46th Street, Olds, Alberta, 2016 November.
Oh, it's okay.
Do you want me to just, okay.
No, you don't need to read them all.
That's good.
We have them recorded. Thank you. Does council have any questions in regards to these dates? Hearing none, I call for the vote. Those in favor? That's carried. Thank you very much. Page 6, please, of your agenda. Now, this is the Deputy Mayor's schedule to assist the Mayor during the year, and this again from November 2016 to October 2017. Each year, we carry this forward as scheduled previously. If council wishes to change any of these dates, this would be your opportunity. And a motion on the floor to get it going. Councillor Harper.
So move that the Deputy Mayor's schedule for the period November 2016 to October 2017 be approved as stated in our agenda.
And again, if there's any conflicts with anybody that knows right now that it may be, seeing none, we're all good? All right, then I'll call for the vote. Those in favor? That's carried. Thank you very much. Now going to page 7, this is the appointments of council members to authorities, boards, commissions, and committees for the period 2016 to 17. And if we could just get a motion on the floor, and then I can, Councillor Bennett.
Thank you, Worship. Thank you, Worship. I move that the appointment of elected officials to the various authorities, boards, commissions, and committees for the period October 2016 to October 2017 be approved as follows.
Thank you. I have one question with regards to Central Alberta Economic Partnerships for CAPE, and I don't think, are you the community rep? Is that what that's supposed to be there? I don't think it's supposed to be there.
I'm just the council rep.
Right. Was there a reason we left community rep on there? I know we did have one, but it was, I believe, Olds Institute, wasn't it? Councillor Harper?
For clarification, Your Worship, Councillor Overwater is the community rep, which is i.e. the council rep.
Okay.
Olds Institute the decision was made to have the Olds Institute represent the second seat that we are granted on that, or that appointment to the Olds Institute. And we did question why the Olds Institute when they have their own membership anyways. So I guess my question is does the Olds Institute have membership to CAPE, and are they already appointed a member to their board?
We're just dealing with council representation at this time. This is the business on the floor right now is the organizational meeting for elected officials. But you can certainly bring that up later.
So therefore, Councillor Overwater is the community rep.
Thank you very much for clarifying that. The only other note you'll see here is Southern Alberta. We have to change that, it's a typo, where it says Larry Wright is actually a Town of Olds, or isn't an employee of the Town of Olds, but we put his name down there just for clarification so that council would know who the person is, and I would be the alternate at that time. Is there a conversation you'd like to share with council?
Yes, Your Worship. I was just questioning what the Region Intermunicipal Planning Commission actually is. I did not know what that was.
Councillor Walsh, would you like to share that?
Yeah, I was just explaining that, much like our MPC, but it's within a development on our borders that
Right.
both county and town work to resolve. So it's a
Certainly.
intermunicipal region.
And we have the members sitting on that are Harper and Barishaw. Would any of you like to speak to that?
Last year, we only met, I believe, on 2 occasions, so it's not a really active board. It only occurs when there's a request for development within that intermunicipal area.
Thank you very much. All right, any further questions? I'll call for the vote. Those in favor? That's carried. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That will be the business of the organizational meeting, and I will ask for adjournment. Councilor Barishaw. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if you could please move to page 11 as far as numbering goes for the regular meeting agenda. I will now call to order the regular meeting for October 24th, 2016, and I will start with the agenda. I don't have a request for decision for that, but who would like, I would like an adoption of the agenda. Councillor Walsh.
Yeah, I move the adoption of the agenda as circulated.
Questions? Seeing none, then I'm sorry, yes, no, I'm sorry, I'm going to backcast, I'm sorry, I've got a whole bunch of paper in front of me here. I do have an added, thank you. I'm getting ahead of myself. Motion to accept the agenda as presented, thank you. All right, we just voted on that, now we're at the added items. This is where I thought I forgot something here. Added items, we have an added item. No, I wanted to say that before, so we can, okay. Yes, we're not done. So the added item will be added item 7A, ladies and gentlemen, my error, and that will be the appointment of an interim CAO. If I could just have you pass these around. We are going to put 7A, and then we will rotate the numbers down from there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3. My apologies, folks. I'm trying to get ahead of myself here, but I'm... All right, so item 7A, any other added items, ladies and gentlemen? All right, hearing none, then we will call for the vote now with the added item. Those in favor? Thank you, thank you, thank you for your patience. Now, previous minutes. Who would like to put the previous minutes on the floor? That's page 11 of your agenda. Councillor Bennett.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that the minutes from the October 11th, 2016 regular council meeting be adopted as presented.
Does council have any questions with the minutes at this time? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. Those in favor? That's carried. And we have no presentations or delegations this evening? No presentations? All right. Business arising out of the minutes? No business arising out of the minutes this evening? Very good. We will move down now then to page 15 of your agenda. And at this time, page 15 of your agenda is a bylaw that council has reviewed and we have asked to bring back for reading, 3 readings. Who would like to put the first reading on the floor? Councillor Overwater.
Thank you, Worship. I move that the Town of Olds Bylaw 2016-24, Chief Administrative Officer, be given first reading.
Thank you. Questions? Call for the vote. Those in favor? That's carried. Second reading, please. Councillor Walsh.
I move that the Town of Olds Bylaw 2015-24, Chief Administrative, 2016-24, Chief Administrative Officer be given second reading.
Thank you. I would like to know then, call for the vote. Those in favor? That's carried. We'll go around the table then. Councillor Harper, please, for consent.
I move that council give unanimous consent for presentation of the third reading of the Town of Olds Bylaw 2016-24, Chief Administrative Officer.
Thank you. This is consent for final reading. Any questions? Those in favor? That's carried. And Councillor Baruchel, third and final reading, please.
Hey, I move that the Town of Olds Bylaw 2016-24, Chief Administrative Officer be given third and final reading.
Thank you, Councillor Baruchel. And those in favor? Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, Councillor Harper?
Your Worship, just a question of administration. Now that we've passed this revamped bylaw, do we have to repeal another bylaw? Yes, no?
Yes, Marcy says that the repealing of the current bylaw, or the former bylaw now, is within the
Yes.
the RFD.
It's in the bylaw on page 20 where it says bylaw 9913 will be repealed. Thank you for your question. Are we good to go? Thank you. Unfinished business? Seeing none, we will continue down to the added item at this time. And I can put this on the floor. It would, who would like to put this motion on the floor? Councillor Overwater?
Thank you, Worship. I move that J.R. Rick McDonald of J.R. McDonald and Associates Incorporated be appointed to the position of Interim Chief Administrative Officer for the Town of Olds effective October 24th, 2016 to January 24th, 2017.
Thank you. And I'd ask at this time if you have questions. Very good. Thank you.
Thank
ahead.
you, Worship. Should we, no, I know we may not, but are we just actually giving ourselves like the 4 months, 3 months in order to find the CAO, or would this continue on should we do not find a suitable CAO?
Thank you. That's a very good question. The firm of J.R. McDonald and Associates is appointed to support the staff and as well recruit a permanent CAO. So that information will come forward directly. Very good question. Any others? Call for the vote, please. Those in favor? That is carried. I would ask that council set aside some time tomorrow, if it works for you, and we'll pick a time that works best for all council to meet Mr. McDonald. And if it doesn't work, he will be here Wednesday as well. So let's work with that. Very good. 7B now is application for property tax exemption. I would ask at this time to go through the CAO for any background. We do have the request for decision here, but
Thank you, Worship. I am going to turn this over to our CFO to lead you through the RFD.
thank you.
Your Worship and members of council, now I did not get a last name, but I will mention that Melissa, and like I say, I did not get a,
Melissa?
Melissa Hammer. Okay,
Melissa Hammer, yes,
is
we
here,
know
is
Melissa.
in attendance from the gymnastics club.
Okay, so if council has any questions, we can certainly direct them to Melissa. So I will open the floor at this time. It was very good information you shared with us, Mr. Lucas, and well put out there with the first, second, and third question. So I'll open the floor at this time if council would like to move with any questions. Councillor Harper.
So when the request to make this property tax exempt, that includes both the municipal and the education portion of the property tax? And if we exempt the entire property of both those taxes, is the town of Wolds still responsible for remitting the education portion?
The council can only make it exempt for the municipal portion. It's still liable for the education portion. But further to your response, even though that property will not be paying taxes, the taxes revenue will still need to be collected from somewhere. And so in other words, you know, each other piece of property will pay just that much more. And you know, I mean, we're talking fractions of a cent per property, but.
Yes, subsequential. Go ahead, Councillor
Okay,
Harper.
just clarification. So we can only exempt the municipal portion of the tax bill. So, the applicant, the gymnastics club, would still be receiving a bill for the education portion of the property tax, correct?
That is correct, and
Okay.
also the senior citizens portion.
Okay, good enough.
Go ahead, Councillor Overwater.
Thank you, Your Worship. Does this sort of open us up to other clubs that may have, rental leases, so on and so forth, to exempt them as well? Or do we just look at each one individually as they come forward?
Mr. McGinnis would like to answer that.
Your Worship, to the councillor, we've had many of these in front of us, and oftentimes there's a decision that council can make to exempt from taxation. This is not the case with this. Mr. Lucas has determined that this is under copter legislation, so it is exempt by provincial mandate. So whatever regulations are in place under COPTER, which is the Community Organization Property Tax Exemption regulation, would apply here. So this is not necessarily a decision that council can make based on Mr. Lucas's interpretation of the legislation.
Go
So-
ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. So again, so that could possibly go to some other community organizations as well as if they come forward.
Right, so in the future, if there are other requests like this come forward, we will do the analysis against legislation. If it meets COPTER, it's exempt through provincial legislation. If it does not, it can still come forward to council. Council would have to make a decision on whether to grant exemption or not. So does this open the door? The door's always been open for certain types of community organizations to be exempt from property tax. In this case, because of the fact that they hold a lease for this property, it's Mr. Lucas's determination that by holding that lease, they come under the legislation under the Community Organization Property Tax Exemption.
So yes, the possibility is anybody can apply for it. They just have to be approved once. Go ahead, Mr. Lucas.
I'm going to correct you, Your Worship, and not approved. They have to be. They have the sort of the second paragraph under the background where the section 362. You know, now there's section 1 subparagraph N, and under that there's sections 1 to 5, subparagraphs 1 to 5. I only quoted paragraph 2. If they qualify under those paragraphs 1 to 5, then the legislation says they are exempt. Now the paragraph 2, just so you know exactly where I'm quoting, is held by a nonprofit organization and used solely for community games, sports, athletic, or recreation. And so for me, the question is a gymnastics club used solely for community games, sports, and athletics? To me, that's the question the council has to decide.
Counselor Walsh, then Counselor Baerschel.
So just to clarify, you're saying if they qualify under this, they are exempt. And if they're exempt, we have no decision to make here.
That's the way I read this.
Okay.
The section 32 says the following are exempt. Not may be exempt, but are exempt.
Okay.
Counselor Baerschel? Oh, I'm sorry. Are you done?
No, I have no problem saying that they meet that description in the copter, and I support that.
Very good. Counselor Baerschel?
Thank you, Your Worship. I did this exact thing for the golf course to the county, and the tax assessor gave me the actual copy of the actual legislation out of the MGA, and we didn't come close to qualifying. I see this information. My question is similar along the lines of, it seems to me that you're, like, I look at this and it seems to be a lot more simplistic than what personally the Olds Golf Club, which is a nonprofit, tried to do. And my concern isn't that I don't believe personally that groups such as the Gymnastics Club and the Olds Golf Club and the nonprofit societies that do things for basically so we can have young people and adults can have affordable places to recreate, but that we're opening up the door to a whole lot of challenges. So, because when you do this, and that was the thing, and the reason why my particular challenge failed isn't that the county couldn't have done it, in that if they did it for the Olds Golf Club, they would have to do it for all the other golf courses that are listed in the county, and therefore that challenge failed, because we can do whatever we want. We can choose to ignore, we can forgive property taxes on anything that we want, but under, regardless of the rules that laid out in here. However, are you saying that this particular organization is 100% clear of all the rules under the MGA? Because I would be surprised, knowing what I went through, that they are, given that they charge a fee and they don't have equal access to all parts of the community. And this isn't out of the MGA. I don't know where this one came from. I don't think it is anyways, because it's certainly not the same format that I looked at, even though it does offer a more simplistic explanation. I'm scared my worry is we're gonna run into some big trouble with other groups who qualify if this is as lenient a test as we have.
Mr. Lucas?
Okay, Your Worship and members of council, I agree totally. We are definitely opening a door here. And so council needs to make a decision. And all I can do is present the information as I see it. And then council needs to make a decision. I've tried to go through and provide council with the information necessary. If council at this point wants to ask for more information, I'd be happy. Now, so far as the formatting of the information, I pulled it from the MGA, and some of it is from the MGA. Some of it is for the regulation as Mr. McInnes has quoted, and some of it is for there's a guideline put out by Alberta Municipal Affairs for interpreting the legislation and the regulation. And the question revolves around: is it accessible to the community? Is it sport and recreation available for all? Because that's one of the criteria. It has to be available for all. And
Supplemental? Did you have something supplemental?
Excuse me. Okay, so I guess so if somebody wanted to put to start their own for-profit, okay, but bear with me, I'm almost done. You guys are set. Okay, so if I, being a fine gymnast myself, wanted to open a business that would offer these types of things, okay? And I structured it in such a way that, you know, am I gonna compete with, they're paying coaches $38,000 roughly, I think that was the number I saw, something like that, to run. I'm just saying, it's not a level, it becomes not a level playing field. And I'd be welcome to listen to the ladies that are here from the gymnastic club, because I think we can all appreciate that if we make a simple mistake here, because I know I wanted it, I wanted the same exemption for all the reasons, but I can fully understand if you do for one, it's going to be hard to look others in the face. So we need to be very diligent before we make this decision.
Yes, Councillor Harper?
I totally recognize that there are nonprofit agencies within our community that rent private property that have actually requested to council, and in some cases they're not sports groups like the gymnastics, but they have come to council and asked for a property tax exemption, which has been granted. And I will use the current building that New to You is occupying, and yet other agencies have not, that are for-profit, have not applied for that because they know they probably can't. Well, they could, but they probably wouldn't be granted. So I'm okay with the fact that a local nonprofit group that's geared for the youth of our community is making application to have the municipal portion of property tax exempted for the term of their existing lease. And I know that we will probably be looked at if and when the gymnastics club looks to either renew or extend the lease. So I'm okay with this.
Thank you, Councillor Harper. Or Councillor Overwater.
Thank you, Worship. I have a question. The cadets, do they own their building or do we own it?
The cadets own the building, the town owns the land.
But so then would the cadets be able to come and want to be exempt from the building taxes? And would that also go for, I don't know if the Boys and Girls Club of the community have their own place where they set up. Do they rent or lease a place, and or would they be exempt from this as well?
So the cadet hall is exempt by virtue of the fact that the town owns the land. Any other group that wants to come forward and apply for exemption will be put through the same test as the gymnastics club has been put through. And there have been other groups that own their buildings who do not meet COPTR and have come forward to council, where council has a decision to make, and council has not always granted the exemption based on the type of activity that the organization provides to the community. And part of it is always, is the activity open to the community at large? And some organizations are not. It's membership based and not open to the entire community.
Supplemental.
Well, the gymnastics club, you have to pay a membership fee to join, correct?
But I believe that anyone can take out a membership, and maybe Mrs. Hammer can answer that question.
Sorry, supplement. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I think youth is important due to the fact that we strive to have youth more engaged in activity due to the fact that some of them are pretty stagnant in front of the TV and such. So I just want clarity on all of this.
Do you wish to speak to that, Ms. Hammer?
There's no membership fees, but you pay per class, so whatever classes they set up.
Very good. Did everybody hear?
Sorry, yeah.
Very good. Thank you. Any further questions? I would ask, you have a question?
No, I don't have a question.
Are you sure
Your worship, may I answer a little bit further to Councillor Overwater's question?
All right, and then we'll move to Councillor Harper.
In the guidelines that I have, there's a list of various types of organizations that may be considered to be exempt under these sections. And Army, Navy, and Air Force, well, okay, no, I didn't read it full. The veterans clubs, I don't see anything about cadets, but the veterans clubs would be exempt, as an example. Golf courses. Girl guides, I don't see golf courses.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. Thank you, Mr. Lucas. Counselor Harper?
So I'm prepared to make a motion, Your Worship.
I would appreciate that, thank you.
I move that the application for property tax exemption submitted by the Olds Gymnastics Club be accepted for the length of the existing lease for Bay 11, 4513 52nd Avenue, Olds, Alberta.
It'll be a two-part resolution, so we'll vote on the first one first. Questions? Counselor Walsh?
Yeah, I support Councillor Harper's motion. You know, it's recreation for kids in our community, and it's specific to a lot of girls that aren't involved in anything else. And when I think we spend millions over the, yeah, there's boys also. But, you know, it's a community facility that is open to everybody in the community, but just saying that we build recreation centers. We subsidize hockey with taxes, swimming with taxes. Soccer, it's all hundreds of thousands of dollars we subsidize every year, and this is pennies compared to what we would subsidize other recreational endeavors in the community. So I support.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh. We have a motion on the floor from Councillor Harper at this time, and I would ask then for the vote. Those in favor? That is carried. Second part to the motion, please. Councillor Barishaw.
First, I want to say that I wish the Olds Golf Club was in the municipality of Olds, because you guys are very generous. Yeah, you should start thinking about that. Save us a lot of money, because you guys are pushovers. At the request for exemption from the town of Olds utility charges submitted by Olds Gymnastics Club be received for information. Sorry, that the request for exemption from the town of Olds utility charges submitted by Olds Gymnastics Club be received for information.
Questions on that resolution? Councillor Harper?
Well, I just wanted to make a comment. I certainly hope that the Gymnastics Club with their representatives here realize that we cannot, town council cannot possibly forgive utility charges on any of the properties. So we feel bad, but that's life.
All right. With that said, we have a motion on the floor from Councillor Barishaw. Those in favor? Very good, thank you. Thank you for taking your time to be here for us. Thank you. You're welcome to stay if you like. It's a long meeting. All right, page 35, please, of your agenda, item 7C. This is the Mountain View interim agreements. Mountain View County interim agreements, memorandum of agreement.
Thank you, Your Worship. So as we all know, the memorandum of agreement that we have with Mountain View County to pay for various activities in Olds, the 10-year term of that agreement comes to an end December 31st, 2016. And we are diligently working with the county for MOA 2.0 through our Intermunicipal Collaboration Committee. But we're not going to have the new agreement done by the end of the year. So this extension just gives the county the ability to continue to pay for the services that they've been paying for over the last 10 years.
And yes, Olds wants this to continue to be paid so for cost sharing. So who would like to put that on the floor? Councillor Bennett?
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that council approve the interim agreement or memorandum of agreement with Mountain View County as presented.
Further questions? You good?
I'm good, yeah.
All right, I'll call for the vote. Those in favor? That's carried, thank you. And 7D, page 62 of your agenda. This is the 2017 Old Man River Region Urban, whatever that word is, orthophotography project. Mr. McGinnis.
Thank you, Your Worship. I believe the last orthophotography that was flown for our GIS was done in 2008. Maybe 13.
It was
13, sorry, yes,
It was
8 and then 13. And the Oldman River Regional Services Commission that hosts and operates our GIS are applying to the Alberta Community Partnership to fly again next year. They approached the town of Olds to be the managing partner in this grant application, and we're hoping that council will support that.
Mr. McGinnis, it doesn't state any financial on here. Can you share with council the answer to that?
The hope is that the entire project is funded through the ACP grant.
Very good. Can I get a motion on the floor, please? And I would like it to be a one-part motion. We won't split this. Yeah, sure. Well, certainly. Go ahead. Then Councillor Duryea.
I don't know if I don't see it in here, maybe I need new glasses or something, but what is the grant? How much is the grant?
Maximum $350,000.
Thank you. Councillor Duryea.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would move that we authorize the town of Olds to participate in an application for the 2017 Oldman River Region Urban Orthophotography Project submitted by the town of Olds under the intermunicipal collaboration component of the Alberta Community Partnership Grant. Further, that the town of Olds, a participant, agrees to abide by the terms of the conditional grant agreement governing the purpose and the use of the grant funds.
All right, I'll call for the vote. Those in favor? That's carried. Very good. All right, page 65 of our agenda. There was some communication within council before we put a motion on the floor that we would like to move the larger portion of our reports to the first regular council meeting, being a 1:00 p.m. meeting, which makes room for an afternoon of sharing reports rather than a full evening. So I would encourage you to, we will continue to do it for both meetings because a lot of you do like to report. However, if you could prepare in the future to work towards a 1 p.m. meeting with the majority of your reports, that would be great. So this evening, if we could get moving with just putting a motion on the floor and then we'll get our reports. Councillor Bennett.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that the reports from council authorities, boards, commissions, committees, and task forces ending October 24, 2016 be received for information.
Thank you, and I'll start on with you, Councillor Bennett.
I was on vacation, so I have nothing to report.
Very good, and welcome back. Councillor Duryea.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a library meeting to report on which we had last week, and two important points. One is that we did pass the library budget, and we should see a bit of a surplus there, like $276. Might be a little bit more depending upon the holidays that the staff takes. The other important point is that we continue to, and you've seen this in the paper already, recruit. We have 5 board member openings, and we would like to fill those openings as soon as possible. So that was our efforts that night. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and Councillor Baruchel.
Thank you. I have a report on the Mountain View Regional Water Services Commission meeting on October 12th. The county, Mountain View County's chosen to, they paid off their licensing fee of $1.7 million early, and so that was good, saved them a little bit of money, and so their licensing fee is paid. The preliminary design for the twinning project from the Midline Reservoir to Crossfield's been accepted and submitted to the province. So the government knows we're ready to go. Hopefully there will be some funding in place sooner than later. The fact that this project is ready to go is basically the important thing, that the government knows that. And we're going to be having on November 9th an all-day strategic planning session, as well as budgeting meeting, which on the 23rd of November, so the Water Commission will be meeting. Councillor Blair from Crossfield and John Van Duesberg met with the minister, communicated that at AUMA. And our UV project is out for tender and should be ready to approve. So just another level of quality that the government is mandating for our water. UV protection is it's going to be an added cost, but it's something that the government's mandated. I've mentioned it before in my reports, but that project is going out to tender, and they're doing the expansion plans for the offices at the water treatment plant in Innisfail is going to be happening fairly soon. So that's about it.
Thank you. And Councillor Harper?
Okay, thank you very much. I'll report mostly on the chamber. Of course, we did have our informal supper meeting with the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, and the following night we did have the chamber regular board meeting. A couple items came up in reference to that, and most of it was as a result of attendance of board members to other committees, Olds Institute, and the Discover Wolves, and they're still in the stage of data collection in reference to Discover Wolves project. And our chamber president continues to have some informal meetings with local organizations just to build a network of information, of sharing resources. And the chamber has, in fact, sent a director to sit on the Uptown Wolves Committee, and the Uptown Wolves Committee has agreed to send one of their members to those chamber meetings. One item came up, and I know that our operations director, Mr. Chand, is aware of this, that the chamber is receiving complaints about the drastic increases in waste management rates to commercial businesses. I believe one of the private companies has done rate increases of 8% and then a further 8% over 6 months. And I believe that a member of the chamber will be sitting with Mr. Chand or the town committee in reference to commercial waste in the future and providing some input to them. That's it.
Thank you. Just a reminder, if any of you want to speak to your attendance at AUMA, that would be great. But next up, Councillor Walsh.
Yeah, I had one meeting this month. It was the South Red Deer Regional Wastewater Commission. We talked a lot about operations in the transition period and how it looks like we're going to be lower volumes than we projected, which means our treatment plant will be looking at more money. So they usually want to balance it out in the following year. So treatment costs will probably go up because our volumes are down. That's just part of life. Also, we had a discussion around the discrepancy between SCADA readings and the meter readings between the town of Olds in late 2015. And they did an analysis of what was between the SCADA and the meter readings. Town of Olds is the only community that has their own meters before the line was built. And going through all the numbers, they concluded that generally the readings would run between 97 and 99% of billed volume. So they've decided that there's nothing to be done because they're not sure what other communities were doing, and either they give it to everybody or they don't. So that was the suggestion. So that was accepted for information, and I see Mr. Chant has gone already, but we'll run that by him and see if we can come up with some numbers that can justify his readings compared to the South Red Deer Regional Wastewater Commission. Other than that, we've got a problem with fungi in our system, and our odor management facility just at the end of the pressure line is not working the way it should be because a fungus is destroying the organic material that's used to filter the smells going through that facility. So neighbors are a little concerned. The engineers were there. They've never seen this fungus before. It's all through the system. They figured because it is all through the system, it probably started in Olds.
No, it's the aliens. It's not us.
It's not a municipal fungus, so they figure it had to be from a truck that dumped into the haul system. So where that is coming from and what it is, they're analyzing it, they've sent it out, and they're working hard to find a way to make that work, because they'd like to get that fixed before it freezes and before it causes a lot of issues. But it's something nobody's seen before, so it's growing everywhere within the system. So they're looking at ways to flush it out and mitigate any damage that it's doing to the system. But it's mostly organic chips or wood chips that they use as filters at that station. So that was the big issue. Just a lot of discussion, took up a lot of time. Nothing resolved at this point, other than they're working to well, they're putting more bauxite into it, which has half the problem, reduced the problem significantly. But
Okay.
keep you tuned as things happen.
Councillor Duryea, did you want to respond?
I just had a question, but I was just wondering, what effect does that have on the system? Does it cause, I mean, the repairs probably will be fair amount, but I'm just wondering what they've discussed as far as in trying to overcome that situation.
Well, at this point, it doesn't, it's just the wood chips that it's really affecting, even though they see it all through the system. Not any damage that they can tell, and not a huge cost on repairs to date or knowledgeably, because the engineers are working on it. You never know when engineers, when their final bill, they figure they've been outstanding in their analysis, but they're looking at it without a huge cost to the system. So the chips will have to be replaced, but they eventually do have to be replaced anyway. So just sooner, we just replaced them last year because they weren't the right size. But it's one of the first and biggest in North America, so it's having some issues. But otherwise, everything has been working pretty good.
I'm sure we can learn from other resources around this globe.
Well, yeah, and a motion was made by the commission to pursue emergency storage funding 90/10 from the government, because we feel that with the situation this summer that we've got something to take to them and say, you know, 2 instances where we could have really used it, and so we're going to hit while the iron's hot.
All right, update us on that. Thank you. Councillor Overwater?
Thank you, Worship. The Waste Commission, we had our waste service agreement and member agreement sent to the CAOs, and hopefully they will vet that. As we've spent a lot of money going back and forth to lawyers and getting the wording right. So that should be coming back to each council to approve, to approve. We also held an all-joint commission meeting with other local commissions throughout the province, just to sit around and discuss different issues, concerns, and recycling strategies, so on and so forth. We also had our third all-council meeting with the 6 municipalities. We must be getting better, because the first one, I think we probably had 50 people, and this time we had maybe 14. So I think the commission is doing well on informing everyone. You should be getting, or I believe Mr. Lucas probably already has the new fee schedule, so on and forth, so I won't go into that. I attended AUMA and attended the partnership and collaboration put on by the EOEP course, and that was very interesting, as Town of Olds and the County of Mountain View are, it seems like they're so much further ahead than a lot of the other councils and counties. They seem to have trouble even sitting at the same table, so we're quite far ahead on that. Also at the AUMA, I attended education sessions, what makes councils effective, and Gord Hume was the speaker on that, the leadership crisis. So that was very interesting. Another educational session, what's coming with municipal legislation and regulations. They stated that in the spring of 2017, councils will have a 2-month window in order to go over the MGA regulations, the new ones coming forward. Also attended municipal implications of impending marijuana legalization. Right now there's 35 producers across Canada. 30 are actually producing and 5 are waiting for permits. Also, one of the questions asked at that forum was, do these medical marijuana companies have to state if they are growing for medical or recreational use? And the answer was just no, they don't. Also, another educational session was council conduct and MGA. That was very interesting as well. Listened to an amazing motivational speaker, General Rick Hillier, as whoever was with us there at AUMA. He was amazing. Very, very good speaker. He had you laughing and crying. Then at the very end, they had a tribute to Fort McMurray. The fire chief spoke, which was, I think it was quite an emotional period for everyone there. Anyways, then they also had a couple songs that were very nice, very, very good tribute to Fort Mac. So other than that, we normally would have had our Waste Commission meeting today, but we postponed it to October 31st. And that's it.
You're going to have a meeting on Halloween?
Yeah.
Good for you. All right. Well, I'll quickly try and go through some points here. On October 3rd, I did attend the Community Learning Campus a CLC governance team meeting on behalf of Councillor Bennett. There were some updates. Facilities reported that they talked a lot about sustainability and signage, and tenant satisfaction survey was back. The areas where they thought they did need improvements would include the parking lot, which council is all very well abreast of because we've spoke of that. Signage for Highway 2A entrance, larger than what they have, and the Bell Center, heating and cooling systems. The CLC Fitness Center received $10,000 from an RBC Learn to Play project. I think council was aware of that as well. In their grant funding, the CLC Outdoor Center really is entirely grant-funded initiative. The New to You, our little New to You, gave them $6,040, which is nice, and the Mountain View County $2,500. And they presented their 2015-16 results report. It was very good. And I thought I had this all in order, but I've had so many meetings, it's hard to... Okay, here we go. Some of the CLC Fitness Center memberships, it's good to understand that they now allow 12-year-olds to use the facility. The CLC now is accepting 12-year-olds. However, they must take training before they use the gym. The senior fees collection of $75,000 is the 55-plus senior fees, and that's $75,000 of the $200,000 revenue they receive a year. So the seniors really are supporting the facility, and that's really good to know. It's really good. We talked a little bit about the reach out to the community. One of the areas they spoke about was actually the squash court use. They're in a transition point right now, asking the question, is it revenue generating? So the addition was $130,000 and needs a study for use, and so they are currently undergoing a study for the squash court. And of course, the executive report, again, speaking about dual credit updates. The full report is here if council's interested due to the time period we have today. And I will leave that portion of the agenda and move on to, again, Alberta Urban Municipalities Association Convention. One of the requests I received as a mayor is to take back to our mayor's caucus, bring up the discussion regarding committee reports and from AUMA and how our councils can receive feedback on the work that's being done. The discussion was at a table with my colleagues, and all the resolutions that were voted on go to a committee. And our council would like to know how to follow work being done on that, so I will look that up. Again, the keynote speaker, General Rick Hillier, certainly was absolutely amazing for sure. He did note, if anybody in the gallery or any of council members are interested, that Easter Monday in 2017 is the 100th anniversary of Vimy Ridge. So if you're planning a vacation and you're a history buff, you might want to go. I certainly think that's interesting. He noted that focusing on the 95% of the people, not the 5% that are the attention seekers, is crucial when you're in leadership. And he certainly spoke a lot about his what he talked about using scenarios with the soldiers. And I think that holds to be very true. He noted that what did he say? Do not like. Oh, when you are successful, do not let your egotism continue to make you portray arrogance. People will stop wanting to be around you. Well, I thought that was very interesting. You can appreciate that. So, Municipal Affairs reported that they had 17 interns in communities across the province this year, and I would hope that we perhaps in our municipality put an application forward to try and receive an intern from Municipal Affairs in 2017. And the Minister of Energy reported that they just approved 90 new wells in Alberta. That will help the oil industry. And every well drilled brings 11,000 jobs, direct and indirect. So they will be also striking an energy diversification committee, so that's really good to know for consultation. And the one session that intrigued us most of all, of course, was our own CAO speaking with ONET and doing a presentation. And certainly there was a lot of storytelling done there, but the good news is that our own minister recognizes, Minister Bilius, of being the leader in fiber optics and broadband. And I was very proud to hear that because these folks have done an awful lot of work in the community, and to be a leader in Alberta and Canada on fiber optics was great. We had 3 resolutions brought to the floor, one on Alberta Health Services for Lift Assist, and it passed. Alberta Transportation Warrant System Review, and it passed. And the third one was for our urban streetlight standards, which was opposed. So we'll have to just revamp that for the future. So I will leave that for now. And on October 15th, I attended a rather interesting event in the community that was welcoming future healthcare professionals. And these were all students. They were all University of Alberta NAIT students and healthcare professionals who were here working with the doctors to experience rural healthcare and lifestyles for the weekend. It was very interesting. The local healthcare professionals were here to instruct the students, to perform a variety of medical skills, and it was put on through sponsorship of Alberta Rural Physicians Action Plan and our very own Olds Institute for Community and Regional Development and Olds Hospital and Care Centre. So I congratulate the Olds Physician and Retention and Recruitment Committee for making that happen. There was 50 plus students there, and certainly I think I might have talked 2 or 3 into moving to Olds. One of the gals, they were all second year students, first or second year, and she plays female hockey, and she just was intrigued about the college having a female hockey team, so that was interesting. I'm going to save my Creative City Summit for next week because it's quite a lengthy report. But I did also attend on October 21st a retirement for a 21-year career Royal Canadian Navy petty officer, and he's a resident now in the town of Olds, James A. Cummings, and he had his whole family there, and quite a few officers from the Army, and it was a lovely presentation. And council, we did write him a letter, just for your information. So I'll go from there. There was a ribbon cutting ceremony for our very Expedia cruise ship centers. It was a full house, so I'm not sure if we're going to see many of you taking off on a cruise in the near future, but they certainly did share a lot of good information for being a new business in the town of Olds. And I'm going to stop there because we still have quite a bit of business. I do have a couple of questions for our CEO. Because I know that our Olds Institute rep is leaving, and maybe you can update me, perhaps, Mr. McGinnis, on the business visitation program. I know we were supposed to get some information back in June, and it'll be 4 months in September, and we still haven't heard back how that program's doing.
And we were at the Chamber of Commerce dinner on Wednesday night, or Tuesday night last week, so I wasn't able to attend the OI board meeting. I didn't see anything on the agenda in particular to that program, but
Okay.
I will try and have Mitch prepare a report for your next meeting.
All right, very good. And is there, once again, is there any update at all with the condition that we're having at the museum with flooding?
Yeah, it's just for clarification, it's water seepage, so there isn't actual flood per se. So we have looked into it to a couple of points. One of the issues is the basement wall itself is made of river rock, so it's not designed by its features to be impermeable. It is completely permeable with water. So that's one of the first foremost piece. So, what you would typically do with a wall isn't what you would do with that wall. So that's where we're at now. Over the summer, there were some outside piping faucet pieces that were adjusted to try and get the water away from the building. That didn't appear to do any significant dissipation on that seepage in the wall. So now we're looking at some more significant pieces. One of the things is, because it is a heritage building, we are working to find someone who can give us an assessment on what we can do with that wall and that base. There is a concern if we dig out, what we typically do is dig out the outside of a wall, that if we do that, there may be the actual earth itself that's around the wall may be giving it some of its integrity. And the other piece is there's a significant feature, and that's the garden on the east side. It's looking more and more like that may unfortunately have to be dug up. So that's one of the things that this facilities group was avoiding attempting to do for some obvious reasons around the sensitivities of the beauty of that garden. But that may be one of the contributing factors, and that's where we're at this point.
So are you keeping in communication with the museum?
Well,
The questions
we've
keep coming to me.
we've identified that there's we need to get a clear communication line through our representative, and that's the Heritage Advisor.
Okay.
And that's internally as well, because the information wasn't flowing back that way, and it wasn't flowing through that way.
Okay, I'd appreciate it as the mayor. This is the third question that they've contacted me with, and it would be great if you could keep a communication line open. Councillor Bennett?
Further to that, I'm just curious, that's part of their storage area, and so what are we doing to prevent moisture or mold damage? And is there another place they can store?
Well, that's one of the things we're going to have a discussion with them on, because they're using a basement area that's not been designed, for that type of storage. So, what other pieces, places, because there isn't anywhere else there that could be used, could accommodate some of those artifacts.
Well, that is a priority, and I trust you will look into that. We have a motion on the floor from Councillor Bennett at this time. I would then ask no final comments. Call for the vote. Those in favor? That's carried very well. Thank you. Moving along then, no quarterly financial, and we have accounts payable, page 85. Can I have a motion on the floor, please? Councillor Baerschel.
Thank you. I move that September 1st, 2016 to September 30th, 2016 accounts payable report be received for information.
Yes, thank you. Council questions? Councillor Baruchel.
Can you tell me, the check to communications group in, I think it's 1391, it's the check number, for $32.50. I can, if it's a big deal, I can do it another time. I normally don't ask these questions. I leave them to Councilor Harper because she's much more organized than me.
Okay, so that's check number 1391 for $3,832.50.
And the other question I had, other check was 1429. So 1429 to Can-Am Instruments.
For $130,000?
Your worship, if I
Yes.
may, through the chair.
Yes.
To Mr. Baruchel, the Can-Am Instruments is for sewer flow metering,
For-
monitoring throughout community that
That-
we're implementing.
That's correct. 130,000. Yes, Mr. Garth, Lucas?
Your worship, for the communications group, the check 1391 is to pagers to be reprogrammed to a single frequency for the firefighters. So it's
Isn't that mandated by the province?
I'm going to defer to Mr. Chan for that, but I believe there's been changes in the frequencies that are being used by
911.
911.
That's correct,
So-
and it's in our correspondence. Mr. Chan?
Yeah, and just supplemental to that through the chair is that we had a number of pages out there with a dual set of tones when we had dealing with the duty crew at some stage. Was those two distinct set of tones that we could use. As new pages come out and the older ones being handed down, where like the rookie firefighters and stuff didn't need that second set of tones, so they had to be reprogrammed to just one tone as well.
So is that out of the fire department budget?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, any further questions? Councillor Duryea.
Thank you, Your Worship. So check number 1435 to Foran Equipment, for $481,000. Is that for
Piece of equipment?
Your worship, Foran Equipment is our street improvement project contractor. And so that would be for 54th Avenue.
54th. Very good. No further questions? We have a motion on the floor from Councillor Bennett. Those in favor? Or Baruchel? Thank you. That's carried, thank you. All right, just before we go to recess, before our in-camera session, I would like to have your attention, all of you, please. Okay. Right, correspondence. Oh, there it is. It's hiding under my big writing. Page 92, please. Who would like to put that on the floor? Councillor Walsh.
Yeah, I move the correspondence and information report ending October 24th,
I think I have one for
2016
you.
be received for information.
Questions? There's that 911 there. All right, now I will ask for the vote. Those in favor? That's carried. Okay, we're going back to prior to recess on our agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, tonight our CEO, Norman McGuinness, bids us farewell after 8 years of performance in building and learning organization. Stepping to lead a vibrant and eager municipality who is at the peak of municipal sustainability, Norm mastered and shared visions and values, system thinking, team learning, and the art of conversation with council and staff. A decision was made to park our aggressive curve of sustainability learning until the gap of education was owned by everyone. Employees wanted to feel empowered to do their work and take responsibility. Council was encouraged by the learning tools used by Mr. McGuinness to develop the buy-in of the organization. Today, the town of Olds is well positioned for the future. A window of opportunity appeared for Mr. McGuinness and his family as he stayed in tune to recognize the golden moment. When this window opened, to move forward and relocate to Fernie, BC as CAO. Challenged in Olds to try and balance real community needs against expectations and council priorities, Mr. McGuinness will now create a new learning organization once again with what I am certain, Mr. McGuinness, will be the same backdrop. Teamwork thrives when no one points a finger and everyone learns and lends a hand. And we have achieved such teamwork, I do believe, and along with my council. So on behalf of the elected officials, the staff, and the people of Olds, thank you, Mr. McGuinness, for believing our vision, and may you travel a safe journey into your future. Thank you. At this time, I'd ask if council wishes to say anything. Council will actually be meeting with Mr. McGuinness and his wife on a final farewell, but you're welcome to add anything to the comments that I made on your behalf.
We were looking for a speech from our CAO.
A little too emotional tonight, but thank you all. It's been, really has been a great pleasure.
All right, we'll save that then for our closing at that time, and thank you very much. At this time, I'll call a 10-minute recess, and we'll gather our thoughts and get right into our land item in camera. Thank you for coming.
Olds Community TV, your go-to channel for news and information in Olds, Alberta.